The tone, strobe lights.
We have a new Marvel series that's halfway done already. And of course, we're talking about Loki Season 2. And of course, don't forget to check us out on the Galactic Core podcast and our thoughts on Episode 3. But today, we are giving you our overall thoughts on the first half of the season. And to start, I just like where it picks up right where it left off. You feel the ramifications of the finale. I still think 8 episodes is the way to go. Gives you more time to tell a story. The 3rd episode has probably been my favorite so far. The Victor Von Timely introduction was amazing. That was so every scene he's in, just like in Quantumania and the finale of season 1. So, what did you guys think of the first 3 episodes overall?
Oh, I'm digging it, man. Yeah. And by the way, the Galactic Core podcast had us on for episode 3, like you said, but Andy did send us the recording, so we might just throw it on to our Why So Sidious library. Okay, and nice. You guys can check it out like that. Or you can go check out his stuff because his stuff's really good too. But yeah, like you said, the way it jumps off right where season 1 left off, and we didn't actually stick around in this thing where they don't know who Loki is for too long. I was kind of worried about that being a thing. Like they'd have to reestablish a relationship and go from ground zero. But no, that was solved pretty quick in great Marvel fashion. But this time it was actually very welcome for the quick fix. Usually their quick fixes are kind of just like write-offs that make it really easy. But
because didn't you guys in the end of season 1, didn't you guys kind of think he was in some type of different universe or something, the way Mobius didn't recognize him?
Different timeline for sure.
Yeah, or different timeline. Yeah, so him being in the past just is a good way to clean it up and move things forward.
Yeah. And episode 1, it was really epic, right? Like right off the bat. Like it had a pretty epic ending. And it keeps you guessing. They still have Kang in the background of the whole thing. And you have Loki returning with his powers, getting more sinister and showing more of his powers because he's kind of incompetent. Like in a lot of his shows, he gets his ass whooped by Doctor Strange. He gets his ass whooped by Sylvie. Every time he's fighting someone, he just gets whooped. So it's nice to see him back in a more competent way. And so it's really good so far.
Yeah. As we said on Andy's thing, I wasn't super crazy excited for this, but it's been really good. OB has been a major little key player into this. He was obviously Ouroboros, I think is his name, but he was in the first episode, and right away he felt like he's been a part of the show from the start. For me, it felt like he fits so well into this TVA, into everything, the way the actor is performing. It felt like he's been with us the whole time. So I thought he blended in just perfectly into the show. Really like all of his stuff. And now interacting with Kang, it was pretty interesting. I love this whole little mystery with the TVA handbook. There's deeper powers to this thing. We keep focusing in on it, but we don't know what's coming from it yet. So I just like all the mysteries they've kind of set up. Something's going to be revealed about Ravonna that's going to piss her off. Lots of theories about her being Miss Minutes, which is pretty wild. There's just a lot of intriguing stuff that's already popped off. And yeah, episode 3 was strong with Jonathan Majors. Good God, I couldn't think of his one key thing I really liked other than OB, episode 2, JDU mentioned it. We got kind of villain Loki again, not a bumbling, failing the mission when they were chasing after that guard and the shadow monsters that he uses to like secure him. And I just loved it. He runs by, he's like, fight fair. And Loki just turned out, it's not a fair fight. Like you're so far beneath me. It's not even funny. So I love that scene. Mobius is even like, it's a little too much there, don't you think? But that was just such a great return to evil Loki, villain Loki. So yeah, it's doing really good so far. I'm excited to watch episode 4.
With Ouroboros, he says 400 years off, or 400 years with no days off. God damn.
Great to be part of a team.
It's always says your skin will peel off and you'll die. Super straight, like not even joking.
All those deliveries were just, they were just great.
I also really love the scene with Loki and the phone in the elevator. I think that was at the end of episode 1 or towards, was that episode 1? When he's like
Phone?
is the phone ringing and he's like
Oh
standing
yeah,
in front of the elevator and it's like
the
time is kind of like shifting at the same time. It was
the
weird.
end of episode 1. Yeah, because do we
Yeah.
even know who hit him with the time stick?
Oh,
Right.
yeah, that. No, we don't.
We don't know
that's
yet.
Definitely still a mystery. But yeah, I forgot that's what's going on there. When he saw kind of Sylvie in the elevator for a sec
Yeah.
or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do we like the going back to the World Fair and just the Victor Von Timely intro? How he's this young creator who gets sent on another path because of Miss Minutes and Ravonna Renslayer. And how do you guys think his story might end up this season?
So yeah, I liked it. Like I said on Galactic Core podcast, I said it's perfect for Kang to be like an inventor and like the Tesla, dealing with all these technologies, which is going to become his suit, eventually. And it's just Jonathan Majors. The way he acts that character is amazing. It's different from He Who Remains. It's also different from Kang, who we saw in Ant-Man 3. And I'm just so invested in how he becomes Kang and which variant he is, or if he's good or bad, or like, what is he gonna do? So yeah, I'm all in for that.
Yeah. Victor Von Timely is dope. I think he's Victor Von Doom's past ancestor.
I was gonna say, I don't know if I was tripping out.
No, he's dope. I have no idea what's going to happen. It's very confusing, all of it. I don't know if that's He Who Remains. I don't know if that's Kang the Conqueror. I don't know if that's freaking Immortus. I don't know who the hell that is. But that's kind of cool. I'm just glad we're getting Jonathan Majors. So I'm good with that. I love the 1893 aspect. I love going back to the World Fair and kind of touching in on a lot of because again, I've talked about before, there's a lot of interesting theories and stories and stuff coming out of those World Fairs in our history. So it's kind of cool that Loki's tapping into it too. But yeah, it's cool.
Right. Yeah, if you really try and like break down the whole TVA and Kang and He Who Remains and this time loop they're on, it's really hard to, it's mind blowing, honestly.
Yeah.
And to think, that Victor could be on the same path and could become the next He Who Remains, kind of. Maybe he's not the same, but he's the next one to take over and run the TVA the way he did. But then, but then he could just end up in the same situation against Sylvie and Loki, and it could all,
Probably will.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's kind of
yeah.
weird because this could be part of this is part of his He Who Remains plan. Like he does have this in case because he knew that Loki and Sylvie were going to show up, but he didn't write the decision she was going to make. So he knew that they were going to be there.
Right.
So he does have this plan, and it could just be resetting the loop again.
Yeah, he had plans in place already. Like Miss Minutes said, he's already ahead. Like this is going exactly as planned because this is literally a part of his plan. Is us returning this TVA booklet here, and so he had. I can't think of the word. Batman has a lot of them.
Gadgets,
No,
Gadgets,
skeletons in his closet.
Juvenile kids working for him. No, God, his plans.
Contingencies?
In case anything goes wrong. Contingencies.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Just said Palpatine.
Yeah, Palp too. But it's one of those things where it's so confusing that when they do reveal the answer to whatever all of this is happening, I don't even think I can be mad. Like, well, that doesn't make sense because I don't really know what the hell's going on already. So it's like, oh, okay, I'm pretty much gonna roll with whatever is revealed, unless it's really dumb. But
I think it'll be good though.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah.
All right, well, stay tuned for our coverage of the series as a whole. Only got 3 more episodes, so stay tuned. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Why So Sidious a Nerd podcast. Today we are bringing you another edition of Week in Geek, discussing the latest news and rumors in Marvel, DC, Star Wars, and more. My co-hosts today are Jeremy Darr and David Cochran. And of course, don't forget to check out some of our other episodes. We have some fresh novice nerds on the Green Lantern Corps and Sentry. And check the feed for our special spooky Halloween episode with villains and our favorite horror movies. And stay tuned in the future for our 100th episode. Very special. It's going to be a big one, a grand finale.
Huge.
Not a finale.
Really huge.
Really big. Yeah.
And of course, don't forget to follow us on social media at Why So Sidious Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and X. All right, let's get into the news and start with Marvel. So, Daredevil Born Again. Some big news came out probably 2 weeks ago, and they have let go all of their writers and directors for the series. A significant creative reboot. It is no longer expected to release in 2024. They had already filmed a little less than half of the episodes before the strike. But, quote, not everything will be deleted. Some scenes and elements will be taken advantage of, but the series will be reformulated. So I know we got two very big Daredevil fans in this room right now.
Caleb and Caleb.
Yes, me and me. So I'll get into some of the more the other future plans they have. But how do you guys feel about this Daredevil news?
All right, so it sucks that we're not going to get it sooner, but I think the only reason they're doing it is because now that Kevin Feige has more power, right? This is like he's back in a much more authoritative position because Chapek is gone and Bob Iger is back. It feels like he went into that studio and saw what they had cooking, gave it a little taste test, and said, "Hell no, we're not doing this. Like we can't." It seems like they're only going to change it because he didn't like it, and they're trying to make something better that does justice to Daredevil in the Netflix series we got. So I'm optimistically thinking it's a good thing, and they scrapped it because it's bad, and they got rid of the writers and directors because they weren't doing a good job, and they're making sure that this is going to be a good quality product. So I'm hoping.
Yeah, I immediately a negative response because, you see, oh my God, bro, we're in shambles. They don't know what they're doing. They just fired everybody. Like, this is horrible. But yeah, the more you look into it and the more you think about it and you hear the reasons why they're doing this, at this point now, I'm very excited. I think it's a great decision. So there was, Feige said that Daredevil didn't show up till episode 4. So he's like, what are we doing here? People are not going to be good with this. But another thing that I read that was really encouraging was just regarding the growing pains for Marvel television that they've had since WandaVision came out, since this whole new endeavor on Disney Plus series. They never hired showrunners. They just relied on executives to freaking check if anything was wrong or needed to be redone and do reshoots to fix stuff. But they didn't hire showrunners. They just depended on Marvel film executives. And so they're stepping back now. And one of the guys was saying, we're trying to marry the Marvel culture with the traditional television culture. So they're actually trying to get back, instead of just throwing stuff out there, get as many Disney Plus series as we can out so we have content. It's like, no, let's actually do it how we usually do television shows. Let's do it the right way. Let's get a showrunner. Let's get a plan from the start, from the jump, and not just get it out as quick as possible. So, and that came down from one of the Marvel's head of television and stuff. He was like, we're trying to get back to it. And that's so encouraging to this whole thing. I'm excited. It sucks we have to wait even longer, but it would have sucked even worse to get a She-Hulk quality Daredevil show.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, basically he said showrunners who will write pilots and have show Bibles instead of the thing they've been doing where there's like a different director for almost every episode, which is so ridiculous.
Okay. Yeah.
And then the full-time TV execs. And then, moving away from limited series to multi-season television shows.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
And before they said Foggy and Karen were not in the series. Like that was a confirmed thing. They're just not in there. So I really wonder if Foggy's going to bring them back.
Probably.
Foggy was never brought back. I know Karen's character, or Karen's actress. Oh, God, I forgot her name. But I knew she wasn't called back. I don't know why I thought Foggy was, but... yeah, they should bring them back in. They're kind of a vital part of the whole story of Matt Murdock.
I agree.
They're literally his only two friends.
Yeah.
Literally the only two people in his life outside of being Daredevil. So it's a pretty major point.
They bounce off
Yeah.
his personality really well. They just found out he was Daredevil. They were a huge part of the story, and Foggy was very charismatic. I liked him on screen.
Yeah, he half the time I really liked him. Half the time he pissed me off.
Oh, he
just
did get
based on
annoying.
his lines. Yeah,
It's so
he
annoying.
would fluctuate.
He did get kind of annoying, yeah.
Watching you, Caleb. He would fluctuate.
You looked right in my eyes.
What's funny is the camera's not even. I'm looking at the screen over here, but I had to stare you down into your soul. Karen, she's played by Deborah Ann Wool, and she was awesome. I really liked Karen throughout. I thought she was a really good character in the series. She really showed her stuff in the first season. She's definitely not a damsel in distress, even though that's the first introduction into the show that we see her as. We see she's a very competent, kind of badass woman out there. So I really like her. I really hope they bring her back. I thought the actress was great too. So, without spoiling anything else for Mr. Caleb over here, bring him back. One thing, John Bernthal is, I think, the third listed cast name. So that's solid. That means he's going to be in this a good amount. So that's super exciting. Yeah.
And Vincent D'Onofrio, I guess, he responded to some stuff on social media, and he said, well, yeah, it's getting scrapped because we're trying to release the best show. And that was responded with a ton of negativity, I guess. So he just deleted all of his social media accounts, which is awesome.
Gosh.
Just got rid of it and said, fuck you guys.
I don't blame him. I really don't. I'm starting to hate social media, and I don't have people who care about following me. I'm over it. So I would hate to be in that man's position right now.
He spilled the beans a lot too. He was like a good source because he just went on
say a couple
Twitter or
things, right?
interviews and shit. He just would say shit he's not supposed to, for sure.
Yeah, love that.
All right, moving on. We do have an X-Men movie in the works via Deadline, and they will start writer meetings for pitches in the fall. Anyone you guys would like to see direct the movie? We gonna bring back Joss Whedon or what? A little Astonishing X-Men style, crossover Avengers.
That would make sense. And I would put the Russo brothers on any project, but really the X-Men or Fantastic Four, I think. But they already have a director, right? But X-Men, they're just so good at the ensemble cast. How did they make Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame so good with so many characters while all the characters had a voice? And X-Men, dude, that would be so sick. And they would bring that mature tone that still fits in the comic book action genre, dude. So Russo brothers, but that would be an answer for any new comic book movie coming out, but especially for the X-Men. They got to nail the X-Men, dude, especially if they're being brought into this larger universe. It's not just a standalone X-Men trilogy. This is important, and I would put trust into them like more than any other directors.
Dude, and picture this. You got the Russo brothers stepping in to take the helm of the X-Men. How does that not perfectly lead into their first creation, Avengers versus the X-Men, into that storyline, moving forward with the Russo brothers directing that movie? My God, that would be perfection. So totally with you on the Russo brothers.
You could say the same thing about Joss Whedon. If he did the X-Men, then, because he did his Avengers 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And
2 chances right there.
Right. And for, I guess, the listeners, Joss Whedon wrote a really cool X-Men comic, Astonishing X-Men, so he would fit right into that. And we read that comic, and we all say it was very cinematic, and we think so. Mm-hmm. So he would do pretty good, but people don't really like him right now after what Gal Gadot and Ray Fisher was saying about him. I don't know how.
Yeah, he does seem to be a scumbag based on everything that everybody's said. Like, as a person, as a creative, great content, great stuff. Well, except for Justice League, but everybody has their off days. So that whole thing was a mess. We're gonna ignore that. What it is hard to ignore is all of the cast talking about how much of a nightmare it was to work with Joss, and then people coming from his Firefly show, which really put Joss Whedon on the map, saying, "Oh yeah, he was like sexually harassing people the whole time." Like a bunch of stuff coming out where it's like, ugh.
You know who else was?
I want to put our X-Men cast dealing with that dude. Well, God, what?
You know who else was a nightmare to work with? Kubrick. He's a goat. So what do you think? Christian
Bale too.
That guy was clinically insane, though. I don't know what was happening with Stanley Kubrick's head, but I don't know if Joss Whedon's quite on the Kubrick level. But
no, that's
another one I would like to see, which we have already seen it, in X-Men First Class, but he killed it. I think it'd be cool to bring Matthew Vaughn back for another X-Men chance. X-Men First Class was amazing. For some reason, he was supposed to do The Last Stand, and he walked away. I think that was the story where the script writers gave Halle Berry her script because she wasn't going to come back, and they wrote the thing about there's a scene with Storm going to Africa, and there's these thirsty, starving children, and she creates a storm to bring them water and like saves the African village. And so they gave that to Matthew Vaughn, and Matthew Vaughn was like, "What's up with that?" And they're like, "Oh, that's just Halle Berry's script. We're just going to erase it after she signs on." Because I guess she requested that specific thing, like something like that specifically. And so they wrote this whole scene and then just scrapped it after Halle Berry signed on. And I guess that was one of the reasons Matthew Vaughn left. Long story short, he has a history with X-Men. He killed it in First Class. Let's bring it back.
He did kill it in First Class. That's a good one. Dude, what story would they go with? They're not doing Phoenix again.
And it has to be after Secret Wars, right? Because you think they're already writing. After. They're already writing Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. This X-Men movie is something they're going to take their time on.
Yeah, they're just looking for writers and directors. It's probably 4 or 5 years out.
Right.
Oh God, what was the X-Men trilogy I was just talking to you about with Yoo-Hoo? One of the more recent ones. The
House of X, Powers of X?
No, Messiah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you said
is that possible? We could roll with that coming into MCU, maybe. Bits and pieces, maybe.
Yeah, that's because Hope's not tied to the Phoenix Forks with that one. It's totally different. She's a new mutant, right? It's like the first mutant that's been born ever since House of M, so she was a big deal. That would be cool.
So this could just be the first mutant born kind of deal and roll with that. Even though
then where are the other mutants?
The fact they all got wiped out. That's why she was so important, was because they already existed. They all got wiped out. She was the first rebirth kind of deal. So I don't know. Yeah. I'm up for any X-Men story. I just want to see.
I'm so excited
and do Cyclops justice.
Right.
Is Dave's video out for you, JD?
No.
This guy. You hear that, audience? Caleb doesn't want to see me on the video. Caleb, Mitch McConnell.
All right, Dave. So it looks like we have another possible delay with Deadpool 3.
Yeah, so that's one of the delays that I haven't found a way to be happy about, unlike Daredevil. We had it, May 2024 initially, and then they pushed it up to... Didn't they push it up to like October 2023? And then they pushed it back to 2024?
Yeah, right, yeah.
And so the last we were on was they were in the, I think, March 2024 window, and the last we saw, it was removed, and instead in that slot, Captain America Brave New World is showing. So I don't think Deadpool has a release date as of now, right? No. I think it's just, they just delayed it. They took it off of the schedule.
Yeah.
And now we have nothing. So obviously that's because of the strike. The strike messed with a lot of stuff. They had to make a lot of changes depending on how far they were into certain things. But I got no silver lining on this one. This just sucks.
Yeah,
it does. This is the most excited movie I was waiting for out of Phase 5, or at least the rest of Phase 5 after Black Panther was up there for sure, but this was right there with Black Panther.
Dude,
when it comes to hype,
it's one of the most exciting movies, like in any phase, any DC or Marvel, dude. Hugh Jackman and Deadpool tearing through other universes' characters, like that's exciting. It's gonna be freaking bonkers.
And we already know that's gonna happen. They already signed on Jennifer Garner, unless that's just a random red herring where she's just gonna be some random casting. But I feel like we're pretty confident that's what's gonna happen. It's just brutal. It's definitely the most excited I've been for a movie in a long time. Apparently, they were halfway through filming when the strike happened. But yeah, due to complications, there's no release date set.
And not only that, I feel like it's gonna save the MCU in a way. Like it's gonna tell us kind of what the multiverse conflict is really about, and like shove their real plan into play. Whatever's going on, I really feel like it's important.
Deadpool will literally explain it to us, breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
All right. Enough of that She-Hulk fourth wall garbage. I'm gonna actually give you the real stuff here.
Whoa!
I hope he actually
Bro.
says something. Yeah.
Yeah, they won't let him, but they should. It's Ryan Reynolds. Let him talk trash about everybody, But Hugh Jackman's 55, man. We can't keep delaying this. He just started to get into really good shape for this shooting. I know he's in Hollywood. He's got roids and all the best blood doping you could possibly ever have in your life. But he's getting up there. Let's get this shit made.
He even made a comment. He was like, "Yeah, I'm kind of tired of just eating chicken breast. It's not something I want to do forever."
I'm sure.
Oh, that's hilarious. Just saying in Wolverine shape or Deadpool shape.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. JD, you have some news on some more sequels. We have Spider-Man 4 and Thor 5.
Mm-hmm. And both of these are just rumors, right? Like, even if it comes from the Variety or what else, the Direct, or even
Deadline.
they report on rumors, Deadline. But it's one says Spider-Man 4 starts shooting in 2024, so next year. Pumped.
Makes sense.
With Tom Holland and Matt Hughes, or the director, the one that directed the other ones. Not Matt Hughes, that's a fighter.
No, it's
He got hit by a train, bro.
He did. That's right. John Webb, Mark
John-
Webb. No, John Watts.
John
We're
Watts.
getting closer.
That's right.
I
Webb.
think Mark Webb was the Amazing Spider-Man director. Actually, it was Mark Webb. But,
So that's great news. And the other rumor is Taika is not a part of Thor 5, which is now starting to be in development. Yeah.
I'm
I didn't
really
see that.
surprised they're doing that. I saw that news too, and I'm glad it's not Taika, but like, why?
And this could take a grain of salt. It might not be super true, but I mean, I sure hope it's not Taika. Love and Thunder didn't have great reception, and I don't think
we're
people
past
want.
that. Yeah.
Even Chris Hemsworth said he doesn't want to do that Thor anymore. He said it was too goofy, and he'd rather do a more mature Thor moving forward. So I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be more surprised that a Thor 5 is confirmed, but I wouldn't be that surprised if Taika's not a part of it, because
Yeah, that's good news.
I don't really like seeing this though, because if you think of the big three as Thor, Captain America, and Tony, all their stories kind of ended in Endgame. Like that was their crowning moment. They achieved what they needed to do, and now Captain America and Tony are done, and Thor's just kind of. I mean, he's a god, obviously, and they're not gods, but it's like just go, right off into the sunset, man. You know what I mean?
You still got Loki though. I wouldn't
I know.
They're gonna meet again. They had I forgot, someone said something on social media about we are moving towards them interacting and crossing paths again. Like that's supposed to happen again, at least. And
that's a Thor 5 for me right there.
Yeah, especially
but
if Loki's a part of it.
But a different Loki, like post TVA Loki.
Oh, I see
somehow.
what you're saying. But still the same one. I still want it to be like the same timeline that we've been following of Loki and Thor. I wouldn't want it.
Well,
It's just Sylvie.
It's the variant of first Avengers Loki.
Right.
That's who it is. It's the variant first Avengers Loki.
And then they gave him that highlight reel to kind of make him
Yeah,
have all those
exactly.
character building moments just real quick
Right.
to set him back onto the. But I would argue Thor has more of a story left than Cap or Tony, because Thor still had some unfinished business. Like, yeah, they won an Endgame, but he still had a massive thing he was dealing with and getting over. He was still overweight. Thor 4 starts off with him still being fat and working out to get past that mental block that he had. So I do think they still was a story to tell there. I just think it was told horribly so far. So
yeah, I don't want to see
the way
him
it was
go out
told.
that
We could
way.
have ended it. Right. Yeah, exactly. Let him go out the Infinity War way. Let him get one more just badass movie appearance, whatever the case.
So I still want him around too. If you want more galactic cosmic stuff, it'd be nice to see him. And we haven't had a great Thor movie when it's like a serious kind of Thor, Norse god character like kind of movie, right? We had the first one. I'm not a big fan of. Second one is pretty good. Ragnarok is good, but still goofy. The best Thor is in Infinity War for me, and I want to see that Thor in a whole movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Maybe he comes back in Kang Dynasty, gets killed by Kang.
Ooh.
What? Classic Alfred.
Welcome
All right.
back.
Classic Alfred. All right. Before we move on from Marvel, let's talk about the next Marvel movie coming out, The Marvels. A lot of Marvels in there. So, JD, is there a cameo in this movie that's been kind of rumored?
There's actually a lot of news I saw about the Marvels. First of all, it's the shortest MCU film. Okay.
Right.
And second, the review embargo lifts a day before release, which doesn't show much confidence in the film. They usually release the social media review embargoes a couple weeks before the movie releases in theaters.
The
and-
trolls, though.
Yeah, well, that's like kind of the argument. If there is this big cameo, you don't want it to get spoiled and this and that. But still, it was still a movie that was made when Chapek was in control, not Iger. Feige didn't have direct, as much authority. So I still think this movie's going to be mediocre, like at best. Hopefully, hopefully not. Hopefully it's amazing. But first of all, one of them is not as crazy. But there was a trailer that one of the Marvel girls said, "I called a friend," and it just showed a shot of the Bifrost coming into the screen. Just like not very cryptic, right?
It's going to be Heimdall's son. That fake out behind Heimdall's son.
So
all fucking CGI face.
His head just comes through a hole.
What if it's his daughter, Gore's daughter? I could see that before I could see Chris Hemsworth Thor. It's a kind of a girl power movie.
Yep.
Which would suck. I really hope it's Thor, but she's the one that carries that axe now, right? Didn't he take his hammer back? Because she colored on it and stuff. And that's that's what summons the Bifrost.
Stormbreaker, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did Love have Stormbreaker at the end?
I think so. And he had his hammer,
Dang.
right?
You're right.
So-
Yeah. She's got Stormbreaker. Yeah, that's the Bifrost thing right there.
Right. But then why would they say I called a friend? That's weird. The only friend is Captain Marvel knows Thor, like from Endgame. So that doesn't make sense. But somebody is coming in with the Bifrost. And the other one is they're rumored, not rumored. People are guessing that Beast from X-Men Last Stand, like Kelsey Grammer Beast, is making a return because of this quote. And this came out of, I think, comingsoon.com. But so it says with okay, with the Marvels approaching its release, the hype for the film is finally increasing due to the latest rumor about cameos in the movie. Fans are wondering if Kelsey Grammer is returning as Beast in the Marvels. Daniel RPK tweeted the following: "Someone who was the perfect casting for a certain role and never got his chance to do justice with it because they wasted him on a shitty movie is coming back." That's all I have to say. And I guess Kelsey Grammer is like the big fan. I know. I was going to say, what does Beast have to do with it?
There's a lot of people that fall into that category.
The one thing that I didn't see, but that I thought of, is he's part of the Illuminati. And if they are going to deal with incursions, which maybe they're probably not going to have an incursion, but wasn't there a rumor that there might be like a big thing in this movie that might have been an incursion or Kang or something? But,
Incursion, I think. Yeah.
For sure. So a member of the Illuminati, that would make sense. But really weird. That would be strange, but I would love it because it's an X-Men, and it would just anything so big like that, I'm in for. Just really random.
Super random. Again, just going off of that description, that there's a lot of people who were a really good cast and were wasted in a terrible movie. It could be Andrew Garfield. Like I don't know. There could be a lot of people to that. But yeah, that would be a massive multiversal breakthrough that leads into going into the future there. But if I never saw this rumor and that popped up on screen, I would be straight up mind blown and confused.
Right.
Very confused.
Honestly, if I could predict a cameo in this movie that makes the most sense, it'd probably be Shang-Chi. Because, he does have his rings and the Miss Marvel's bangles kind of light up, and he kind of is. It's time for him to show up again.
Exactly.
Somewhere.
I'm totally with you. It's overdue that he shows up in another movie. I mean, this is Marvel we're talking about.
Yeah,
Ta-
and Wong can teleport him in.
Yeah, and they're on Earth for a lot of this movie anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, still not super excited for the movie, but I think a couple weird things are going to happen that might make it significant or worth a watch.
Yeah.
Right. I hope it just has a good post-credit scene. That'll
Yeah.
save the movie if it's not good.
Yeah.
But I have low expectations, so I think I'm gonna enjoy it.
I just want something entertaining, something that's
Right.
not just like super heavy-handed with stuff. Just make a good, entertaining movie. You know, like I like all the. Well, I'm not a massive Miss Marvel fan, but I didn't dislike her, and I really like Spectrum. Like I loved her in WandaVision. Is it Spectrum? They have multiple names. Throughout.
Photon?
There's Photon and
Photon.
Spectrum in the
I
comics.
think it's Photon.
Okay. I have to check that. But yeah, anyway, I like them, and I like I like Captain Marvel too. Like I like Carol Danvers, so I'm hoping for the best, but we'll see. I don't know. It's Spectrum, by the way. $5.
Oh shit. Oh no. All right, let's move on to DC. So the Batman 2 is rumored to have Hush as the main villain. And there was also news I heard today about a Scarecrow movie in the works under the Matt Reeves universe.
Ooh.
So they are starting to build things out over in Battinson land. What do you guys think about Hush, though? He fits perfectly in this universe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That was one of JD's main predictions, I think, in our comic comic reviews was Hush being one of the main villains. So I've watched the movie. I haven't read the comic, but I've watched the animated movie.
You
Hush,
haven't?
No,
so
I haven't
good.
actually read the comic itself. And so it's how much different is it from the animated movie compared to like Batman Year One, which is almost
it's a
like
completely.
the same exact thing.
I think it's a completely different reveal. The movie's not very good. The comic is amazing. I just reread it, and I think it might be like maybe my top. It's in a top 3 Batman comic. I confirm. It's so good.
Okay. The reveal was kind of weak in the animated movie for me. So if the reveal's better in the comics, that would elevate the story a lot. But it's cool. It's got a solid mystery to it. Feels like it fit in with his style of things.
They twist it around in the comics. They make you think it's a couple different things, and then the truth comes out. It's really good. A lot of cool action. Superman's in there, Nightwing's in there. It's like Jim Lee is on the art, dude. It's just like that's pretty good.
Okay. I'm gonna add that to my list real quick.
But I think that's an awesome thing for the Reeves universe. He's damn near the design is going to look a lot like the Riddler, but it takes it up a notch because he's more. The Riddler can't go toe-to-toe with the Batman hand in hand or anything like that. The Hush character can. So it's like the Riddler on steroids. Not like Bane steroids, just, more physically formidable. But would bring the very similar vibe, and that would fit. So I hope so.
All right, JD, there's another DC movie in the works with Matthew Vaughn.
Yeah. It just
is this James Gunn's universe?
This is a DCU universe, yes. And all we have is confirmation that he is in talks to direct a movie. So he's not attached to a movie yet. But
we have one to pick from his James Gunn's first phase, right?
What do you mean?
The what James Gunn released, his first phase of movies. You think he's going to direct one of those, right?
I would think so, yeah. So I guess it could be The Authority, or it's not Swamp Thing. James Mangold is on that, right? The Flash director is on Brave and the Bold. The Authority. What other movies are there? Is Paradise Lost a movie or a series? That's a series.
I think it's a series, yeah.
And he's not on Superman. James Gunn is going to do Superman.
The Authority wouldn't be bad. Do we already have somebody for that?
We don't. And Matthew Vaughn has done the Kingsmen, all the Kingsmen movies. He did Kick-Ass. I could see him doing The Authority.
Team up movie.
Yeah.
First Class, yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty solid. I like the first Kingsman movie a lot.
Oh yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah.
And First Class is good. So it's a solid director
the second
to bring on.
The second one's alright.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so I don't know why
it's not the first one.
It ain't the first
It's not
one.
the first one.
It's
but
very goofy, but There's some cool scenes. It's very over the top, even more so than the first one, which had people's heads exploding into fireworks. And the second one is still miles beyond over the top. I would be down. Yeah.
Supergirl. It's a Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which is supposed to be like an amazing comic. And it's supposed to be a very dark story. And I could maybe that's what he's doing. Because that's pretty much all the movies that are confirmed, right? It's got to be either Supergirl or The Authority. But remember, they said that they released like half of the movies in their first phase. So there's a lot of movies we're still going to learn about soon.
Yeah, that's true. As long as he sticks to DC and he keeps his grubby hands off of Star Wars. I don't know if you guys saw that report about how he talked about wanting to reboot the original Star Wars and recast Han, Leia, and Luke.
Oh,
and
that was him?
just do it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was him.
Yeah, that's
Like, bro, get all the way the hell out of here. What are we doing? Like, we want out of the Skywalker era. We don't want to redo it and start it all over again and recast the legends and iconic characters of Han, Leia, and Luke, bro. We want out of here. No.
Yeah.
No.
That story is pretty much perfect, whether the prequels are great or not. That whole story, the Skywalker story, rebooting it. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Gumbag.
All right, let's move on to Star Wars. So we found out a couple weeks ago that Guillermo del Toro was working on a Star Wars movie. Did you guys hear about this?
Who?
So Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, I heard a different name. Okay.
David Goyer was going to be the writer who did Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., The Dark Knight trilogy, Man of Steel, and Batman vs. Superman. And yeah, Guillermo del Toro replied on X with, he can't say much, but maybe 2 letters, J and a BB. Is that 3 letters? And it was confirmed later that he was going to do a Jabba the Hutt gangster movie. How do you guys feel about a Guillermo del Toro Jabba the Hutt gangster Star Wars movie?
Yeah. Scratch everything I said about getting out of the Skywalker. I'm cool with one more if it's a Guillermo del Toro. Bro, crime scene, like, we could get, he's already great with the monsters and the creative characters and all that. That's his bread and butter. So we get Star Wars Cantina characters throughout and just get nitty gritty with the crime scene that we haven't dove into the Hutt crime scene at all, really. Boba Fett kind of did, but poorly.
Yeah.
So that's one of the few exceptions I would have to stay in this era because it's so different. We don't need the Skywalkers involved. We don't need that involved. We could do a crazy galactic crime lord stuff and maybe more.
Yeah, that's what I was. Yep. Yeah, when he takes over the Black Suns, the Pikes, and the Hutts, like organizations, right? But yeah, I would be excited. Depends on who else is showing up. I wouldn't want it to just be Jabba and his people, but all the other people that could show up in that show could make it really good. You know,
Or movie. I mean, I agree that a show would be doper, but I think it was going to be a movie.
I'm over the shows, dude. I want Star Wars
Right.
movie. If I had to choose,
Me
I'm
too.
making that a movie. I'm done waiting a week for mediocrity.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's good. Pacific Rim. That's a good Del Toro movie. I haven't seen a lot of his movies. I'm looking at it. You know, Blade 2, Hellboy. But Pacific Rim is a kind of a sleeper. I remember liking that movie. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Is he not the?
Yeah.
Is he the one who does the zoom ins and the quick cuts and shit during his movies? Isn't that Guillermo? Is that who did?
No, that's shit. I don't know. I guess a few people do that. I don't think he's known for that. Wait, I'm sorry. He did Pacific Rim?
Yeah, according to
Oh.
he directed it.
Okay.
Oh no, Guy Ritchie. That's who I'm thinking of.
Oh, hey, Guy Ritchie, The Covenant, dope movie. Totally off topic here, but we'll get to that later. Yeah, I thought Pacific Rim was dope. Actually, it was a little, it wasn't like an incredible cinematic masterpiece, but it was very entertaining with some really cool scenes. So acting wasn't incredible, but yeah.
All right, and JD, we got a Sean Levy Star Wars movie. Is this in the works or scrapped already?
I mean, who knows with Star Wars, but it sounds like it's super in the works. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like he gave a quote to Star Wars News Net, and that kind of updated us that he was still in talks to do his Star Wars movie. I didn't even know he was in the first place. But he said he's had a quote that said, when Kathy Kennedy brought me on board to make a Star Wars movie, her central mandate to me was, I want a Sean Levy movie. I want a story and a tone that reflects you and your taste and what you bring to your movies with a Star Wars story. So he said he's felt extremely empowered. He is in the early days of development, unfortunately, because the development process was paused due to the strikes. But he feels very empowered, and they trust his instincts, and he's stoked about the development of the story. So it definitely sounds like it's going to happen. And what do you guys think? Is this a good choice for a Star Wars movie?
The director of like Free Guy, Night at the Museum, Cheaper by the Dozen,
Real Steel. Real Steel was good, I think.
You said we're talking about Sean Levy here?
Yeah.
I didn't know he did those at all. I don't know anything about his past before Deadpool, so
yeah, I don't know a lot of his movies. I know I like Real Steel. I think Date Night was pretty fun with
he did Date Night?
He did Date Night.
Oh wait,
yeah.
Date Night? Oh wait, that's the Steve Carell. I always mix that one
Yeah.
up with Game Night. Game
Oh
Night's
yeah, I
hilarious.
love
Watch
Game
that
Night.
one. So
Their neighbor Landry.
how does Frito Lay's profit from that? 3 bags for one.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel very familiar with his work. But I would just have to hear more, I guess.
Not a ton of action projects. He did the Atom Project, which I haven't seen, but the Real Steel was a good movie. Did you guys see that one?
No, that's Hugh
I haven't
Jackman,
heard of it.
right?
Yeah.
Like robots, remote robot fighting kind of deal.
Yeah, you could say the same thing just about Pacific Rim. It feels the same way. Not a masterpiece, but it's a fun movie.
Okay.
Sure, why not? As long as it's a movie, right?
Give me some more info. I'm open to it.
As long as it's not Taika, I swear it's the last person I want directing Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm past that. Point.
All right, just a couple more quick topics before we wrap it up. So, House of the Dragon has wrapped filming. They were not affected by I think Jay talked about this, but it will be 8 episodes, and it should premiere summer of 2024. And also expect Rings of Power Season 2 in the fall of 2024. So hopefully we get them back to back, or a little space in between, but not at the same time.
Again.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's dope. That's a solid thing to look forward to for a few months stretch there. So that's dope. Right.
And our last topic is our continuing coverage of the Jonathan Majors trial. JD is live in DC.
Yes,
on the scene at the courthouse.
Here we are. I'm getting rained on a little bit here, but we're going to go ahead and push through because Jonathan Majors is moving. Sorry, the freaking court is moving forward with his trial, which is kind of a bummer. We thought the charges were just going to get dropped and, it was going to be in the past, but no, it's moving forward. And apparently his attorney requested that none of the evidence that they use against him will be publicly available. So a couple interesting things there,
Yeah, not a good look.
Not a good look. Now, people, that happens. People request, not do the whole court thing. And
most celebrities do that.
Yeah, and they could still be not guilty. It doesn't automatically mean he's guilty, but certainly doesn't look good.
Yeah, it's not what you want to hear. Just the fact that they're even moving forward with it, that aspect. Yeah, like you said, I was hoping we were just kind of... The last I heard, I haven't been super looking into it, but I feel like I've seen reports here and there like, it's been proven that the girlfriend was lying or admitted to or all this stuff that I thought I heard. I just started writing it off a bit. So, yeah, I guess it's still a very real thing, unfortunately.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for another edition of Week in Geek. Stay tuned for our coverage of Loki when the season wraps up and our 100th episode. So thank you for coming. And we will see you next time. And have a happy Halloween.
Dirty animals.